The Hissing in the Night. Written by DisasterPoutine. Father, I hope this is an important matter. Prince Lyson's understanding tone failed to cover growing irritation. His father, King Basim, dropped his mind ages ago at the famine of Kosing. A viper bit into the king's side, clouding his thoughts. Lyson would become ruler by the morrow, if the old bear would finally croak. Silence, my prince. Follow your king. The silky voice of Sir Devon slithered down the unfamiliar cobblestone corridor. Sir Hyatt was silent, adjusting his sheath before shifting his attention back to the torch. The king's pace was sluggish, but the line of four finally came to a mossy, archaic door. The king stared blankly ahead as Sir Devon, pulling out a splotchy leaden key, turned it in the lock, revealing the room within. Bare, no windows, no furnishings except a single wooden chair. Devon gestured for Lyson to sit, and so he sat uncomfortably on the bare wood. Hyatt remained silent. They grabbed him by the shoulders firmly. The king merely stood in front of his son. "Father, what is this? You are not well." Lyson had never seen this room before and was becoming nervous. The knight's grips would not ease on his shoulders. His father said nothing, merely looking at his son as if he were a common beggar. The king's robes were stained with vomit and grime, covering a twisted, hairless body. Lyson could see no recognition, no spark behind the pupils. He was afraid. It was Devon who spoke first. The voice felt dense in the tiny room. "The king wishes to know why you tried to murder him." "I do not wish ill of my father, the king." Lyson's voice turned sullen. "I wish him prosperity in ruling his realm." Lyson felt a sudden crack as Devon twisted the young prince's jaw. Now bleeding and useless, gurgles and froth replaced his attempted screams. "Your wish is misguided." Hyatt's voice was deliberate, a boulder shifting through mud. "You wish yourself to take his place, to seek conquest and war. We know these things because we have seen it within you. Your inferno. We seek that fire." A rising sound. Quiet hissing. "The king has left long ago. An empty shell. We all see. The viper overpowers the bear in time. A noble human to the last. He asked us to spare you." Lyson looked on in horror as his father's head split open, the shattered skull expelling an emaciated brown viper. The body fell, a final breath reeking of rot and decay crumpled next to the dead snake. Lyson stared in despair at his captors. Devon's eyes were vertical slits behind his face guard. Hyatt's forked tongue licked blackened lips. Devon opened his mouth wide, impossibly wide, hand reaching into his throat to pull out a coral red viper. As Devon pushed his venomous offspring closer and closer to Lyson's broken mouth, Hyatt offered few words of comfort to their soon-to-be puppet. "The king has died. Long live the king." How long can you go without blinking? Written by Mick D777. It all started when I decided to get eye surgery. Like a lot of people, I had crappy eyesight. If I did not put my glasses or contact on, I might as well confuse my girlfriend with my mother, which is something you never want to be confused about. One day I woke up and whenever I put my contact lens on for more than an hour, I started to get headaches. Glasses? No, thank you. Bring on the laser. The surgery went well, but then it happened. 331. I woke up one morning and from my right eye I could see something unusual. It was a number right there on the top right side of my vision. A bright red number. 49,996. For a moment I felt like I was in a VR game with the HUD showing up the score or something. Eyes open, eyes closed. It was always there, seemingly burnt on my retina. The number kept changing too. After a while, I figured out that every time I blinked, the number went down by 1. Every time. 330. Do you know how many times you blink in a day? A freakish amount of times is how many. It turned out that on that first day I blinked over 300,000 times. I didn't talk about it to anyone because I honestly felt like they would think I'm crazy. Of course, it got crazier. When it happened, I felt a flash of pain behind my right eye, and I saw what I could only describe as a vivid hallucination. It was a vision of something dark and very far away, an obscure silhouette showing up at the end of a light tunnel. It felt like something rotten and sick and mad. The awakening of something sinister. 329. I kept getting vision. The dark figure always getting closer. I'm seeing it in my dreams now. I can make out more of its features, thin with what looks like a bald head, and his eyes. His eyes are continuously blinking like a madman. I always wake up soaked in sweat, the number down 1. I tried to keep my eyes closed, but I always ended up feeling the irresistible urge to open them again. After a while, the best I could bring myself to do was try to blink less often. 328. How long do you think you can go without blinking? The number is part of me now. I'm not sure at all what will happen once it hits 0. I'm scared I'll lose my sight for good, but more than all, I'm afraid of that thing slowly creeping toward me in that tunnel, always blinking, blinking, blinking. When I have my eyes closed, I can feel its darkness slowly dripping into my being. When they're open, I can see it tearing apart the light. My eyes are so dry. They hurt constantly. How long can I keep going? 327. Thank you for listening. You can probably handle another horror story, right?